Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Be a Better You podcast. I am your host, Allison K. Dagny. For those of you who are just tuning in, I am a subconscious reprogramming expert, and I am a survivor of 20 years of emotional abuse. I coach women and help them release those old limiting beliefs and blocks to being the best version of themselves so that they can heal those emotional wounds. Now, the reason I chose this topic and the reason why it's appearing today in your podcast feed in the middle of January is because this is right around the time people start falling off their New Year's resolutions. Usually at the end of December, we start saying, okay, what do I want to do for the new year? What do I want to be? How do I want to act? What goals do I have? And we get really excited for the new year, and then we put those goals into place, which is great. It's wonderful. But the reality is, usually after a couple of weeks, people start falling off, they start backsliding, and they start reverting back to those old habits. So if you're interested in holding on to those new habits and being the best version of you that you can, let me just lovingly call you out here, okay? You cannot resolution your way or willpower your way past an overloaded nervous system. You cannot create a New Year's resolution and a goal without figuring out what's creating those old habits in the first place, okay? So resolutions and willpower do not work without a solid plan to help your nervous system, because any habits and behaviors and things that you have are all driven by the subconscious mind, okay? And your subconscious mind wants to keep you safe and it wants to keep you comfortable. So if you want to try something new, that's going to signal this alarm that goes, oh no, this is change. This is different. I don't like this. And that's why we fall back into those old patterns. Resistance can come up too, and we can talk about that as well. So you can write this, affirmations or new year, new me, like on your mirror, like all of that is great. But if your subconscious is running those old programs like Windows 95, then good luck, because it's not going to stick, okay? So I'm here to help you with this, and I'm so glad that you're here tuning in, because I want you to get the results that you want for yourself. The other thing is I want you to know is it's really not going to benefit you to blame yourself if you fall off, if you backslide, if you fall into those old patterns again, okay? It's not your fault. That I have to say that loud and clear. It's your programming, okay? So I'm going to help you understand the real cause today. And that way, like if you haven't listened to the other episodes that I put out, there's one, actionable steps to unblocking your path to success, and the secret to following through to being a better you. So you can listen to those, episode 196 and 197 that came right before this one. Okay. But like I said, I wanted this to come up today because this is right around the time people start to go back to their old ways. And again, it's not your fault. So let's talk about this. So why consistency is usually hard to sustain. Okay. So I have struggled with this my whole life with being consistent. Trying something for a couple of weeks and then being really good at it, and then all of a sudden I just sort of stop, okay? If this is you, again, there's nothing wrong with you. If you can keep up something for 2 or 3 weeks and then you're like, I did really well on my diet for 2 to 3 weeks and then I ate cake at a birthday party, or I went cold turkey on alcohol and then I had a drink at, the baby shower or whatever, right? There's nothing wrong with you if you are not able to be consistent, okay? A lot of people believe that I'm just not a consistent person. I've just never been consistent, right? But really what this is like saying is that it's like saying that your phone, like your iPhone or your cell phone is really bad at loading apps, when really it's the Wi-Fi, right? It's not the phone, it's the connection, okay? That's what this is like. It's like, oh, I can't be consistent. No, there's something that is missing in the connection that's not allowing you to be consistent. So your consistency is not broken. Your nervous system is trying to protect you from a perceived threat, from being uncomfortable, from potential failure, from. There's so many things, like so many different things it could be. And it's going to be up to you to figure that out, which doesn't really have to be that difficult. It just takes a little inspection in your mind and a little self-awareness, and everybody can do that. So let me tell you too, like inside my Radiate and Rise community, where women can show up inconspicuously, you don't have to show your face, you can use a different name. One of my community members had privately messaged me and told me she felt like she was just a chronic quitter, like I can't stick to anything. And so I helped her understand that this was her nervous system. These are triggers. This is, not something flawed inside of her. And so she started to realize there were a lot of ways in her life where she was consistent. There were a lot of things that she did do consistently, but she wasn't focused on those things. She was focused on all the times that she had failed, quote unquote, or was quitting, quote unquote, right? And so I had her do some things to try to figure out the source of this and where this might have come from. And then she started to have some more safety in her nervous system, started to feel more confident in her abilities. And then what happens there is you start feeling like, oh, okay, I have this safety. This is okay. This is not something that's going to, harm me to continue this. I know why there might be blocks there. That gives me clarity to continue through and to commit, and then to have some courage, to have some capacity to hold yourself accountable and to maybe sit with that discomfort a little bit longer than maybe the last time. Okay. So again, consistency is not a personality trait that people just have. Okay. And inconsistency is not a personality trait that people just have. It's a behavior. It's a pattern of behaviors that was learned. And there may also be subconscious beliefs that are either in the way or that are driving that behavior. So if you want to become a more consistent person and stick to the things that you said you wanted to do for yourself or others or your life, then we have to get to the root of it, because otherwise you're just on autopilot and you're just going to continue to do it that way forever and ever and ever until you interrupt that pattern. Now, I want to explain to you why willpower fails. And willpower is great. It's like a spark, okay? Willpower is like the spark to get the fire burning. But if you don't continue to feed the fire with wood or other things that are flammable, or you don't give it enough oxygen, like that sort of thing, the fire is going to slowly burn out. And so willpower is the spark. Willpower cannot sustain someone long term. Your subconscious mind is what sustains you or not. And that is always going to override willpower because it's 95%. This is, science suggests it's about 95%. So what's happening here is when you use willpower, you start to feel that motivation and you get up and you do the thing and you continue it for several days, maybe several weeks. But then you default back to what feels familiar instead of what's actually going to benefit you. So if you think about like, oh, I'm going to start working out. So you go to the gym or you start working out or you start running or whatever it is that you like, that you want to do. And you do this for several days, several weeks. And then usually that spark that has lit the fire starts to die down again. Because you're going back to what felt familiar, because this new thing that you're doing is not familiar. It's change. It's different. It might be difficult. It might be uncomfortable. So then your brain subconsciously, right, you're not really aware of this, will start to do something to protect you. Oh, we don't really need to do this. You've worked out hard enough. oh, you can just rest for a little bit. It's not going to really matter that much, right? It'll start making excuses and it'll start telling you things to pull you back into what is familiar. And it's not trying to hurt you. It's not trying to sabotage you. It's actually trying to protect you. It's saying, this is uncomfortable. Stop doing it. This is dangerous. Stop doing it. This is unknown. What's going to happen if you keep doing it? We don't know. You need to go back to the old ways. That's what's happening. So for somebody who's been emotionally abused, right, if you've been in survival mode for a really long time, then long-term goals actually feel really irrelevant to your brain. They feel stupid. They feel ridiculous. It's like, I need to be okay right now. So if you're like, oh, I'm going to work out and I'm going to get healthy and I'm going to work on my mindset or whatever it is that you decide that you wanted to do for this new year, it's really hard for your brain to get on board with it if you've been in survival mode for a long time, because survival mode meant in the moment, now stay safe. So you're basically like, oh, now brain, I'm going to turn this into something long term. I'm going to actually make myself a goal to lose 30 pounds over the year. Right? And your brain's like, yeah, I don't really like that. I don't really feel good about that. Even though you may not be aware of it. That's what's happening subconsciously. So if you think that you just need more discipline or you just need to push through, right? What this is like saying is that, oh, I just need a bigger bucket when my roof is leaking. No, you need to fix the roof, right? That's silly. We wouldn't say, oh, my bucket's getting full because my roof is leaking. I just need to go get another bucket. No, you say, I need to fix the freaking leak in the roof. Okay? So I wanted to tell you a story too, that I just had a 6th session out of the 16 weeks that we do with one of my one-on-one clients. And she said to me, I finally realized this was never about motivation. This was never about my lack of commitment. This was never about my discipline. It was about my body thinking that my future goals were not safe, right? So if this feels like it resonates with you, this could be part of the reason, especially for survivors of emotional abuse who've had to live in the moment to try to feel safe right now. Because that future goals are like, like that's too far off. I don't really know. And is that going to be safe for me? And like, what's going to happen if I get that goal? Do I really deserve it? Right? There's so many things. And it's going to be individual to you. So if you're having issues with these kinds of things, you can always schedule a free 30-minute call with me and we'll get to the root of it. And you can bring to me whatever you're struggling with and I'll help you figure out what's at the root of your issue. If it is this specifically, we can talk about, why I can't stick to things long term, or maybe it's something totally different. That's fine too. It's not limited. It's just, how can I help you be a better you? And I'll give you that information in that 30 minutes. Ask you lots of questions and kind of get to the root of your subconscious blocks. Okay, let's talk about your body. Okay, and this is important because I talk about the subconscious mind all the time, but you cannot forget that your body is part of this too. Because guess what? Your brain is part of your body. Your brain is connected to your nervous system. Your nervous system lives in your body. We cannot forget about the body. It is absolutely 100% connected to the subconscious mind. Okay, so your nervous system is scanning for threats all the time. It's looking for anything that could be bad for you, could harm you, could make you uncomfortable, right? It's gonna check every little area. It's scanning constantly, especially if you've been hurt and traumatized, abused, anything like that. That's gonna be really, really, really prevalent. And any kind of change to your circumstances is gonna feel unsafe when you've lived in unpredictability, or you've lived with emotional chaos, or you've had to walk eggshells, or you've had to, manage other people's emotions. That change is going to feel really, really unsafe because the predictability that you crave is no longer going to be there when you insert change, right? Because you don't know what's going to happen. Okay, what if I do lose 30 pounds? Oh my gosh, is people going to be mad at me? Are they going to think that I'm better than them? Are people are going to be attracted to me and I'm not sure if I want to be in a relationship. Like, what is it, right? So we've got to dig through all of that. And after emotional abuse, like with the body, is that inconsistency, if you are someone who is resonating with this, isn't about laziness ever. It's about self-protection. It's pulling you back into what feels safe again. So maybe you had a lot of patterns of inconsistency in your life, and maybe you notice that you still have them. This isn't about you being lazy at all. This is a way that your body is protecting you. Okay, it's like fight, flight, freeze, fawn. That's the nervous system. Those are the nervous system responses. Something changes, and now all of a sudden you go back to your old ways because you're quote unquote inconsistent, which you're not. It's just that your nervous system is saying, wait a minute, hold up, put the brakes on. Like, I need to protect you. And if you keep going down this road, I don't know what's going to happen. Okay, so that's why it's happening. Okay, now, if you're somebody who believes, I just can't stick to things long term, because I hear this from people all the time, and I used to say it too. Let me remind you about this. You consistently get a cup of coffee in the morning, don't you? You consistently brush your teeth. You consistently check your phone. You consistently show up for people who don't deserve it, right? You are wildly consistent. You are just inconsistent with what feels safe. Let me repeat that. You are consistent. You are just consistent with what feels safe. Just let that sink in for a moment, okay? So, commitment, devotion, consistency, all these things, right? It's not hard when you're not fighting yourself. And here's what I mean by this. Commitment is very easy when your internal world, your subconscious mind, your perceptions and your beliefs align with the external goal. And the reason why most people can't stick to things is because those things are not in alignment. You might think they are because you're like, I really want this and I really desire it and I'm going to do it. But it's not matching your belief systems. So when your subconscious believes that you're capable, that you're safe, that you can be consistent, that you're supported, right? Then it stops sabotaging you because those things are lined up. So you might be wondering, well, like, how do I stop fighting myself? I don't know how to do that, and I didn't even really realize that I was doing it. Well, one thing that you can do is stop setting goals that require you to have emotional states that you don't have access to yet. So what I mean by this is if something feels really hard or too far out of reach or too scary, you're not going to want to do that. And it might be that you just need to set a goal like a baby step, right? So let me give you an example. I have a client who wants to start dating after an emotionally abusive relationship. And the immediate overwhelm kind of kicks in when I ask, like, how does that make you feel to think to start dating? And the original feeling is excitement, and then it starts to go into fear. And so I'm like, well, what is the fear about? And she said, well, I don't know where to start. I don't know if I should do this or I should do that, or like, I don't know where to find people, like all of the things. So when we start breaking it down into like more manageable pieces, then it makes it a little bit easier, right? So her emotional state is like a fear because she doesn't know how to do something, right? So what we have to do is we have to back up, we have to rewind, and we have to say, okay, well, what could be a small step that you could take that will help you fit into the emotional regulation that you already have, right? Because the emotional state that she hasn't built yet is like big courage, right? Big courage. And she doesn't have that yet. That's okay, right? We need to baby step into it. So we were talking about it, and I said, well, have you thought about, would you like to try dating apps? Would you like to do meet and greets at like coffee shops? Would you like to do speed dating? Would you like to get on like a matchmaking site? Like what do you want to do? And her immediate thought was, oh, I think speed dating would be something I could do. And actually a friend of mine said she would go with me. So immediately her body starts to relax, thinking about how much more manageable this is, knowing that she actually can do something that requires a very, very, very little bit of courage. It doesn't require massive courage, and the know-how that we've broken down into simple, manageable steps. So the biggest takeaway from this part here about like that if you're not fighting yourself is, again, I have to remind you, is that your internal world and your external goal need to be more aligned, right? So it's not in alignment for her to do something with deep courage, like big, big courage, to go, hire a matchmaker and go on these big elaborate dates. Like that is not in the emotional state that she currently has. That goal is not aligned. But a little baby step in the direction of a speed dating situation with a friend is aligned with her, right? And then what happens is her courage will get bigger, her courage will grow. And then if she wants to go on one-on-one dates with people or try out a dating app or go meet with a matchmaker, something like that, right? That's how we do this. We have to make sure that your emotional state is in alignment with what you're doing. Does that mean we can't go out of our comfort zone? No, of course we can, right? And sometimes we need to do that. Sometimes we need to push ourselves a little bit, but not to the point where it's completely a misalignment, because the only thing that's going to happen then is your whole nervous system is going to shut down. And we do not want that to happen, because that's not going to allow for any consistency as you move forward. Okay. Another tool to use here is focus on identity shifts, right? Not trying to hack your behavior or try to do things that other people tell you to do. I've heard this Mel Robbins thing. The 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 method. You just say 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 and hop out of bed. Like, I'm not a huge fan of Mel Robbins, and I apologize if you love her. But I feel like a lot of the things that she talks about doesn't really address the nervous system. And if somebody is like deeply depressed and sad, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1 doesn't do anything, right? So your actual identity and who you are, your belief systems and the things that are happening, your trauma has to be accounted for in order to make these changes. We're not just going to be lying in bed with depression and then after counting backwards from 5, jump out of bed and go run a marathon. It is not happening. Okay, that was a lot. All right, now I'm going to come back to this courage topic because I do think it's important. And I do think it is sometimes a missing ingredient that a lot of survivors underestimate. Okay? Here's the definition. Courage is not just being fearless. Courage is acting in the face of fear anyway. But like I said before with my client example, you do not have to do something that is outside the scope of your emotional state. You can do something that's within or a little bit beyond where you currently are, right? And I use this example a lot with my one-on-one clients is, we need to move towards things that are uncomfortable, but we don't want to do it in such a way that it's going to cause you to shut down. So if you were afraid to ride on an elevator, exposure therapy will have you go to the elevator and look at it first, and then open the doors, and then take a step in and then take a step out. And then take a step in and stand in it with the doors open for a while. And then do it again and do it again. And you expose yourself more and more and more and build a tolerance for it. And this is something that we have to practice. This isn't something that usually comes naturally to people. But if you baby step your way into it, fear usually gets smaller, right? The more you do it like this. So you're really, courage here is just making a different choice at the same time that your body's remembering the trauma, the pain, or the bad experience, because your body will remember it. It does remember it. But it's kind of leaning into that discomfort. And what then happens is that your nervous system starts to learn that that's safe. It starts to learn, I was thinking this was really bad and scary, but it actually wasn't as bad as what I thought. Standing in the elevator wasn't as bad as I thought. Right? I was safe. And so your body starts to learn, oh, wait, this is safe. So you kind of disconnect those old memories from your present reality. Okay? So if you're somebody who thinks, because, courage is something that a lot of people struggle with when we have been emotionally abused, we feel a lot of fear, right? But again, courage is acting when fear exists. It means taking action even when you're afraid. I did it when I left my emotionally abusive relationship. I was scared to death. I couldn't eat or drink for weeks. I was sick to my stomach. It was the worst feeling I ever had in my whole life. But I had to act anyway. And I'm glad that I did. So if you're someone who believes that courage is this like big, huge, dramatic, like act that you have to do, or it's like, this like big thing that is just waiting in the distance for you and you're never going to reach it, right? No, it's not. Your courage can be walked into gently, right? Some people would think courage is like jumping off a really tall high dive at a pool, right? And you jump off of it. That's courage. Even when you're scared, you jump off. Of course it is, right? But that doesn't mean you have to do it that way. If you don't know how to swim, I would not recommend that. That is not going to be the best thing for you. If you don't know how to swim, let's teach you how to do that first. Let's get you in the shallow end. Let's baby step you in so you feel comfortable in the water. And then we'll start at a low dive, and then a little bit higher, and then a little bit higher, and then a little bit higher, and then eventually you can jump off the high dive and you'll feel good about it, right? That's what we're talking about here. So courage is actually micro changes. It's not doing these big, massive shifts in fear. Is it that way for some people? Absolutely. Are there people out there who have to make big, dramatic, courageous acts even when they're afraid? 100%, right? You know about these people. Our first responders, our military, like people who save people out of burning buildings, right? Yes, that exists. But that's not what we're doing. And you don't have to. And I wouldn't recommend it. Let's do micro shifts. Let's do micro changes. Let's walk into courage gently. Okay? It's like leaving your current comfort zone just a little bit at a time. Just baby steps. Okay? And also, this is another one. Courage also is when discomfort hits, when it feels scary, not abandoning yourself. That's important. Because some people will do this and they'll retreat, they'll fawn, they'll hide, they'll run, right? When discomfort hits. But if you can show up in the discomfort, when you are afraid, when you don't want to do the thing, right? You're showing your mind, you're showing your body that you're worthy, that you're good enough, that you deserve this. Because you're not abandoning yourself, and that's proven right then in that moment. Okay, so let's talk about 2026 because that's where we are now. I want you to think about the consistency and having your goals actually stick. Because I want you to feel empowered, not overwhelmed. So when things come to you that you want to do or that you have goals for, a lot of times we look at them as 50 things that we've got to do. And then what happens is we get overwhelmed and we don't take action. So if I've got to lose 100 pounds, okay, not 100 pounds because I would not be here if I was 100 pounds. Okay, let me rewind. If I wanted to lose 30 pounds and that just felt too overwhelming to me because that means I got to work out and I got to exercise and I got to drink 8 glasses of water and I got to take supplements and I've got to do all this other like yoga and blah, blah, blah. Like if I have all these things that in my mind that I think that I have to do, I'm going to feel overwhelmed and I'm not going to want to stick to it. So the thing that we want to do is we want to break these things down into smaller, manageable pieces. That's where we shift out of overwhelm to empowerment. Let me actually give you a real example. I just got off a call with a client before this episode, and she was feeling overwhelmed about doing something in her business. And she really wanted to do it, but she was like, I don't know, like it's too much. There's all these different things I have to do. And she's an author, so there's like all these parts and pieces that she had to put together with this book that she's trying to publish and all the stuff, right? So yeah, seems overwhelming. Seems like a lot. And then she was talking about how she also before she gets started, she needs to put these like 4 bookshelves together. She needs to buy them, and then she needs to carry them upstairs and put them together, and then empty all these bins out, and then put them all on the shelf. And so as we're talking about it, I couldn't help but think, like, this doesn't seem right. Like, what do the shelves have to do with the like writing of the book and doing all of the organizing of the documents in her business? And so I asked her, I said, well, like, is this a priority? Like, that you have to do this? And what we realized was, no, it wasn't. It was an anchor. It was something that was keeping her from doing the thing that she really wanted to do in her business. Because it was like, almost like an excuse. Well, I can't do this until I do that first. Right? So what we did was I said, let's break this down. Is this actually a priority? And she's like, well, yeah, I got to do it. I have to get the books out of the bins, and I have to put everything on the shelves, and like all that stuff is disorganized. I need to do it. And so I then said, okay, well, let's break down the pieces and parts of what you need to do in your business for these documents that you want to put together for your book. And so when we were talking through it, I said, do you have, because she has a MacBook, and I said, do you have a separate screen for your computer, like a totally separate screen? Because I do, and it makes life so much easier. And she's like, no. And I was like, oh my gosh. I was like, how would you feel about having that? Because you could like toggle between, and you have more visual space on the screens. And she was like, oh my gosh, that sounds so amazing. And so I told her I would send her information on getting that set up for her. And then as we kept talking, I said, okay, what are the other steps that need to be done? And we literally only had 3 steps. I need to transfer these documents from here to a Google Drive. I need to put it all together and then send it off to my editor. And I was like, so, and then she started laughing, and she was like, oh my gosh, the books and the shelving units are not a priority. She's like, I realized because I'm excited now about doing this part of my business, because we broke it down and we made it simple, because she had this overwhelm about doing this stuff in her business, that now that she felt excited about it, it was so easy to look at those bins and the shelving units and all the things that she quote unquote had to do. And she's like, I don't have to do any of that. I literally just need to push the bins up against the wall and call it a day. I was actually trying to create more stuff to do to delay what I actually needed to do in my business. And this, my friends, is how the subconscious mind works, right? We've got this overwhelming situation, this goal I want to do. We have no clarity around what it is because it's too much to think about. This is exactly why people don't stick to their goals, because they haven't broken it down simply enough, because they have all of these other things that are anchoring them and making them believe they have to do this before this can happen, right? It's the same way people, I'll use the analogy of losing weight again. Well, I can't lose weight, and I can't go to the gym yet until I lose weight, because I don't want to be seen at the gym when I have this extra weight on me. I mean, right? Maybe you've thought that yourself, like, oh no, like, so it becomes this like spiral or like a cycle. Like, I'm not going to get healthy because I'm waiting to go to the gym until I get healthy. See what I mean? So I just wanted to share this story about my client too, because it was like immediately she was able to shift and be like, oh, I know exactly what to do. Now I can do this. And I don't have this thing anchoring me and keeping me from pushing forward to my goals. So I want to address this because this could go for lots of things that you're doing for 2026. But because the bulk of what I do is I help women heal from emotional abuse. If you're someone who is saying, I need to be more healed emotionally. I need to not be defensive in interactions with people. I need not to be triggered. I need to be able to admit when I'm wrong. I need to not take things so personally. I need better boundaries. Whatever it is that you are working on, if you're just saying those phrases just like that, nothing's going to change. Absolutely nothing is going to change. Because guess what? And this is where I come in as a coach. If you say you need better boundaries, that's amazing. But how are you going? What's your plan? What's your plan to get better boundaries? Because if you just say, I'm going to get better boundaries, how are we going to do that? Well, the next time somebody says something and I I don't want to do it. I'm just going to say no. Or the next time somebody does something I don't like, I'm going to block them. No, this is not how we do this. Your brain and body will shut down. It will absolutely shut down without a plan, without aligned internal work to your external goals, like all of that stuff. This is why people struggle. So if you're struggling like this and you're like nodding your head like, yeah, like I am the two week person. I do struggle with that, right? If that's you, that's where I can help you because we get aligned. What's going on inside your subconscious mind? Figure all that out, reprogram it, teach your brain a new way, a new program so that it operates how you want, just like a computer. If your computer isn't operating how you want, you take it to a technician and have them change the program. And then it operates how you want it to. Okay? So, let's build internal safety. Let's empower you without overwhelming you. Let's align the internal with the external, like internal safety with your external goals. Let's know what your body needs, not just what your brain wants, because those two things work together. And then another thing is like, start anchoring consistency into who you are because you already are consistent in a lot of things. So don't dismiss those things because what you focus on persists. The more you focus on the things like, oh, I do get coffee every morning. I do brush my teeth every day. I do check my phone every morning. I check my phone every night. Right? I'm consistently good at checking my phone. Right? You can be consistent at other things too. The reason you're consistent at certain things, not others, is usually because there's a subconscious block in the way or subconscious belief systems that are driving that behavior. Either the avoidance of a specific thing they want to do or the embracing of specific things that you're already doing. Okay? There's a reason that this isn't random stuff. This is all just totally designed in a specific way to help you feel safe and protected. All right. So if you're listening to this and you're sitting here thinking, yes, this is me, I want this new year to be different, please book a root cause call with me. It's 30 minutes. We'll look at why your nervous system, specifically yours, keeps pulling you back into these old patterns. And I will help you figure out what's in your subconscious mind so that you can start finally matching your capacity to do what you really want to do, to achieve your goals, to consistently show up for yourself, right? And we'll do it gently. We're not going to, do anything I'm trauma informed. So I'm not going to push you anywhere you're not ready to go. Okay. That would not be a wise business decision for me in any way. And it's not good for you. So that's why I am practiced in this. And that's why I care about you. And I want the best for you. No pressure, just clarity. And clarity creates safety. And safety creates consistency. So you don't need a whole new year to change your life. You just need an internal shift, internal experiences, and embodied realities that you do day to day and new habits. And once that shifts, everything else becomes possible. Thank you for being here. Thank you for listening and being such loyal listeners of my podcast. And I will talk to you all next week.